So when you go and get your hair cut or you get some hair trimmed off your body, there's an instant ideology of what a barber is. But on today's show, we're going to be speaking to the Naked Barber from Sydney, and he's going to be talking to us about what he does, who he is, but more importantly, about how we see our bodies. Hi, this is Joey Bartletool and welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. And today's show we're going to be speaking to Dick Savvy from Sydney, who is the Naked Barber, and he's going to be telling us a lot about his journey, but more importantly, the way that he sees bodies in the gay world. Dick, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming on the show. A lot of people may know you from social media or they may know you from YouTube. I mean, I sort of came across you through the Laird, and I also sort of saw you a few times on my Sydney trip. I didn't meet you, but I knew of you. And then recently, a lot of mutual friends have said to me, "Oh, you need to interview Dick." So here you are. So do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm a barber. I've created a business about 12 years ago in Sydney called the Naked Barber, where I do what I call erotic grooming or fetish grooming. A lot of people, once you explain it, they go, "Oh my God, that is a fetish," which a lot of people don't talk about. I just took my profession, being a hairdresser / barber, into a whole new realm. After doing it for 20 years, I got a bit bored and I came up with this concept, which made me fall in love with it again.
And how are people taking it? Like, I know that you're really successful, so I'm guessing the answer is you're taking it really well, but do you get a lot of people saying things that are the opposite of what you're doing? Like, are there any insecurities or myths that people think, like, for example, they may think that sex is involved, or they may think that it's not about the haircut? Like, what are some of the things that people say that aren't true?
Look, I've heard it all. I've heard it all and seen it all. To be honest with you, I think I play with that a lot. So I kind of, it's the mysterious side to it as well, which can be part of the kink thing, not knowing the unexpected and all that. So I find a lot of clients come already aroused because of that. Look, in a lot of ways, I keep it quite open to interpretation. So obviously, I get asked to do a lot of stuff, and sometimes a bit more on the sexual side of stuff, and yeah, with full consent and after discussion and working out a price for that, I can take them there as well. But most of it's just getting a good grooming service in a private studio, very relaxed, just one-on-one, and I can be naked if they choose, or they can be naked with me. If we do body grooming, such as scrotum shaving and stuff like that, obviously they are going to have to get naked as well. So it makes them feel less uncomfortable if I'm naked with them. And as a lot of nudists knows, or people that have experienced it, we've been naked in public or in group surroundings. It can be quite liberating.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I did a lot of research before I got on this podcast interview because I wanted to know exactly what is going on. And I saw in America, there's lots of naked barbers doing more the straight community, right? And I thought, wow, there's just such freedom there. Can I ask you, what made you, or how did you discover the comfort that you have with your body? Like, what process do you think you went through? Or was that just something you had already in your DNA?
Look, like everything, I think it's a constant journey. So if I look back at my childhood, I was a very vibrant kid, but lacked a lot of confidence. Especially through my teenage years, I felt I was ugly, to be quite honest with you. To see what I was as a child, to know who I've become and who I am now, would make a great autobiography one day, because I've changed a lot. I've grown, but I've always been brought up by my parents and that to be comfortable in my own skin, to not have shame around body or body nakedness. I remember as a young boy, probably around about 11, when my mum told me I've got to start wearing clothes around the house because when I was around 3, and here I am running around naked like a little 2-year-old boy would.
Yeah.
freedom because my mum never told me, oh, don't do that.
So,
Especially
so you were comfortable at sort of really young then.
yes and no. As I said, I had body issues. I remember dieting as a teenage boy, going through weight problems and that as a teenage boy, which we all do. Um, I'm a big believer that we've all got issues, even the most gorgeous models out there, everyone that
Totally.
you're looking at, pointing at, going, I wish I was them. Even if you were them, you'd probably still have the same
Yeah.
issues.
I mean,
That,
that's a really healthy way. It's true. I mean, no one's perfect, right?
oh,
So that's you've really hit the nail on the head there. But do you think there was when you joined, say when you moved to Sydney, hypothetically, or went somewhere and found a new tribe, was that an influence? Like, how did you assimilate from this boy that didn't like the way he looked to being the man that you are? Like, was there a pinnacle moment, you think, or not really?
Look, a few of them. As I said, and one of my main ones as a kid was my mum explaining something that I've always taken with me. And to be honest with you, when people say that I'm hot, or God, you're a sexy guy, the first thing I always turn around to them and say, it's my confidence, isn't it? And
Mm,
they look at you and they go, yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. My mum gave me that great gift when I was a teenager. As I said, I had a few issues with who I was, how I looked. I wanted to be this sexy young boy at school, and I wasn't. I was the goofy little, chubby school kid that was having pimples and,
mm.
freckles and buffy curly hair and all that stuff, and picked on all the time. And my mum told me that you could be the hottest man in the room and you can walk into a club, and if you don't have that confidence or that kind of that magic about you, then people aren't going to be attracted to you. Where you could be a bit odd looking, have a clipped lip, or wonky ears or big nose or anything like that, and you walk into that room and you have confidence, you dress well, you smile, you're polite to everyone, people are going to be attracted to you. And I think we lose a lot of this. Looks are the only things people are attracted to. Personality, the way someone talks even or carries themselves, can be actually more powerful to other people than what you
Yeah, I
it's
really
like.
do. I really do think you need to write this book, mate, because it is a very universal theme that is so covered all across the world when it comes to men. And what you're describing is something that I really push, and that is confidence. Really is just a person that doesn't think. They just are in the moment, enjoying who they are. And when you walk into a bar or a club and you're insecure, then you're in your head, and that's what energy you give out. I know you've seen probably a lot in your time. So why do you think a lot of men are feeling insecure with their bodies? What's your ideology of what makes this a big universal problem?
I think because firstly, we don't open up enough, like I just am now with you and talking about, okay, I'm the naked barber, but am I that secure as what people think I am? Even the confidence that I portray, how much of that is real and how much of that too is me knowing I've got the key to being hotter in other people's eyes by throwing myself around with confidence.
Mm,
Um, fake it till you make it.
yeah. So
So
are you sort of saying that there is a bit of a lack of acceptance, and that's why there's a lot of, I guess, I know this is getting a bit heavy, but when there's these issues, a lot of guys might commit suicide or they might have depression. And really, like you're saying, all they need to do is just learn to talk. But there seems to be this fear to be vulnerable.
I don't even, well, and that's it. When we talk and we are vulnerable with each other, it makes it easier for others to become vulnerable. You see it in women all the time, and I think that's what lacks in men. I talk a lot about sexuality and stuff with my clients, and look, and educate them in a lot of different areas, one on one with my so-called knowledge, I guess, wisdom. And one of it is with women, they seem to be able to open up, talk more, express their feelings. So when it comes to exploring each other sexually, even and stuff like that, and when it comes to us men, we're guarded with that. It's that
Yeah.
masculine thing. You don't want to be,
And
on.
also there's also shame. I mean, men, that shame thing that they carry. So what do you think we can do different to change that? Because that's a really good point.
Look, more people need to open up, but also people need to listen. There's a lot of people out there talking as well, and we need to listen. People seem to go listening to the wrong people as well. They listen to people that don't know, and they're just listening to others, and especially on Facebook and stuff like that, you hear about all this stigma in the gay community, and a lot. I don't see it. And then I see who's writing it, and usually it's people that don't go out anymore. They're people that
Yeah.
don't up from on Facebook. So
Mm.
I'm
What do you mean by you don't see it? So you see beautiful things because you've got an
well, I
open
don't.
energy,
I
right?
get outside of Facebook and social
Yeah, yeah,
media. First thing I would say is a lot of people see me on social media a lot. It's great for marketing and advertising, and I think we've got to understand ourselves a lot better and who we are as people when it comes to social media, and we can only handle so much. So a
mm.
lot of what I do on social media is post stuff about myself and check out myself like I'm obsessed with myself, even though I'm not. I
Well,
just
you're a business, aren't you? You're a business, and you got to do
all
that.
the other stuff out there that feeds you insecurities, so to speak. Look, it's the environment you put yourselves in is probably our biggest problem with insecurity or anything like that. As I was saying, you can be on Facebook reading other people's messages and tweets and going on about how Oxford Street's dying or how all the gays are all hot and no one would accept them and all that. And I'm going, well, actually, you haven't been to these parties, you don't go to bear events, you haven't been to Stonewall for a while because they're not all hunky looking guys that you're describing. And you also get that at straight events, like you go to
Yeah,
straight festivals
yeah.
and you see the boys in the steroids, their fake tanning and their abs, their tattoos and all that. And they've got the women with the fake boobs and fake hair and big lips and all that.
Yeah.
and
I was gonna say, so with that, do you think it's also, do you think there's a bit of a, I'm gonna use the word lazy, and I don't mean lazy as the way it is, but there's a slowness. Do you think men are also uncomfortable to look at themselves and do work on themselves? Like in my group, I mean, we really promote people to do the journey themselves, but there seems to be a resistance, like they want someone to fix them, right? Do you feel that's another issue, that men may not want to look at themselves, so they become victims in a way sometimes?
Yeah, yeah, most certainly, most certainly. I think we're all prone to doing that. I'm sure I've done that before in my time, and I think that's it too. We've got to stop separating ourselves, or think that it's only just us.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem that we do. We just think, even though we see it around, as I said, on Facebook, and that for some reason we think that's only happening to me. Why
Mm.
me? Why don't I look like that? Why can't I have that? Why, And I think we've got to stop doing that because, as I said before, no one's really happy. You get people that even do go under the knife and fix up stuff, bone structures and all that in them, and they're still not happy. They're always trying to find something.
Yeah.
And I think the same's at the gym. You can go to the gym, now you can do it for your mental health, which I love to do it for, it's all great, but then you got the other part where your body starts looking better, so that's mentally great for you too. But then you can go too far where you start having body morph issues where you think you're not big enough, and it's always that more, and you become more damaging to yourself
Mm.
by trying to make yourself the ideal.
Yeah, and it's also, and then it's really about people validating you. So, do you see that a lot? Is that still happening at a high level in Sydney? I know it used to happen a lot in the '90s and early 2000s, and then, I haven't been to
I,
Sydney in a while, but like, is it still a big thing, that whole
I,
body thing? I'm not sure.
I, look, I think you get it everywhere. Sydney does have like the beaches and the sunny weather, like the Gold Coast. If you go
Mm.
to the Gold Coast, or if you go to LA or California, I guess that all the gay cultures change slightly, and a lot of it can be climate. You got more leather men in Melbourne because it's better weather for
Yeah,
leather. But I find, as I said before, a lot of it is where we bake ourselves. If you're going to hang out with a bunch of people that are insecure and going to be picking on themselves and all that all the time, or in that environment, you're going to become like that. If you're in an environment with healthy people that don't judge or go on about body issues so much, you're going to have less body issues yourself.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it's just got to do an environment, and you do have different gay or environments in Sydney. We've got a huge bear community here. They're not into going to the gym or working out.
Yeah.
Even the twinks, you've got all the twinks, and you don't see them at the gym a lot. You do sometimes, but then you've got the other side of the more muscle Mary guys and stuff like that do go to the gym a lot. But it's their bubbles. I call them bubbles we live in, and we've all, in our little bubbles, and it's what we bring into our bubbles that can tighten our lives or make our lives even better and greater.
Yeah.
And we just got to be careful who we hang out with, who we talk to, what you're looking at on social media. As I said, I can go on there, put my own stuff on there, check my own messages, keep it more to myself, or I could sit on there and, like a lot of people do, and just go on looking at everyone's lives, scrolling down, thinking how miserable they are because their lives aren't like that.
I mean, just listening to you talk and just meeting you, I feel that you have an influential role model voice that is lacking. Like, there isn't a lot of people talking like this. And, do you think that's something that we need to be more open to creating? Because, what you're talking about is the things I think that everyone's thinking, but no one's saying.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I've heard that a lot in most of my life. Yeah, maybe I should talk more.
Well, I know that you're thinking about doing some work on YouTube and all that. So is this the sort of stuff that you want to talk about? Like,
oh God, yeah. Look, I as a barber, a hairdresser, most of my life, I've been talking to clients and people and so-called counselling them or whatever your hairdresser does, since I was 16, and I guess I came from a very good spiritual hippie upbringing from my parents, and yeah, I'm just used to talking to people and people talking to me, so you learn a lot on my travels.
Yeah.
So if I can feed people back information and stuff like that and counsel people or talk to them privately is great, but if I can do something like that today.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with just being comfortable, and I just think that you just got that persona. I think that your YouTube channel is going to be very, very welcomed, because there seems to be a silence that again, I'm only talking from my experience, but I sometimes see, the bubbles you talked about. I see those bubbles as being separate, like, parts of the world that we should all be connecting with. And so I remember a time when that used to be the case, and now it seems to be more separate. So I'm hoping that, your voice and your excitement and your positive energy will hopefully get people to start changing. Before we actually started recording, we were talking about masculine and feminine energies. So in your world, which is sometimes seen as more masculine, how does the feminine part filter into that world?
I don't think about it, to be quite honest with you. I don't really look at things that black and white when it comes to things. I'm very big on the whole yin and yang and balance, and how that balance is it can be over tipped or not. And something until, like yourself just mentioned it, I go, I don't think of that. I guess I'm just really comfortable in my own skin, who I am as a person, to the fact that I don't go analysing all that kind of stuff.
But do you notice what I'm talking about when you look outside of yourself? Can you see that there are many men, for example, that may only be masculine and they don't allow emotion to come in, or not really?
Yeah. I think less these days. I think our form of what is masculine and what is feminine is really changing or diluting these days, and I think that's very healthy in a lot of ways. I think with labelling, we've become a bit too strong with it over the last 20 years or more. We've become really strong with labelling everything and putting everything in pigeon boxes and stuff like that, and saying if you're this, you're like that then and that. And I think there's a lot of grey areas. that we don't look at, and it's even with sexuality or gender or anything like that, I think we're a lot more fluid than what we give ourselves.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Like that bubble thing that you talked about, it sort of just came from. For me again, I feel like it just came from nowhere. Like one minute everyone's integrating, and then all of a sudden, I think as maybe the internet became more popular and people started talking about their own thing, and these little bubbles started to form. When there's a lot of sometimes there's a lot of finger pointing. You know, you can't do this, you shouldn't do that, don't say this. But in reality, it's we want to be fluid, like you said, and free. Um, because this is a mental health podcast, I'm just curious, and I'm not sure if there is anything in the sort of like kink scene or leather scene or that sort of stuff. Are there mental health problems that you notice, or are they just the same as any scene?
But I think they're the same as any scene. I don't think there's any one that you can draw to and go, oh, that's more of an issue in that community than the other. I think, as I was saying before, with labelling and pigeonholing and all that kind of stuff, we've got to start, and I can keep saying it, it's got to start seeing everything within us and within each other as well. Everything that you are, all your insecurities, I've got them as well, to different levels. So does the woman next door, to the little boy up the road, to whoever else. And no matter how different we are, religion, with colour of our skin, sexuality, gender, all that stuff, we are very similar when it comes to mental health, insecurities, all that, the way we live our lives. We all,
I mean, like you again, and I'm not telling you this to make you feel good, because I think you know who you are, which I love. Is that, but a lot of the population doesn't have your insight, which is, I guess, both our missions. I mean, you're doing it your way, I'm doing it my way, and because a lot of people just are so stuck in the insecurity. So, as a final question, I guess, what would be your message to people that do feel hopeless or stuck in regards to maybe finding some self-acceptance? What would you maybe advise them to do?
I think look. One big thing that helped me, even though as I said, I had a really good positive upbringing by both my parents and stuff, was shadow work. I think a lot more people need to do shadow work these days.
Yeah.
And it comes back to what I've been saying again, that we're all very similar. There's this great thing in a book I read once called what was it called again? The hologram theory, where I don't know how true it is, but apparently if you get a hologram and you cut it up into a million pieces and you get a magnifying glass, you can see that one picture in all those little broken up pieces.
Wow.
Pretty much says everything in the universe, to all the good, the bad, the ugly that you see in everyone, is actually in us as well.
Yeah.
And what was triggered in our past or in our lives to bring out something more than someone else has got. And that's where shame comes in and all that. And I think we need to start relating ourselves to others and then to ourselves more than the separation that we've been doing and labeling and all that. And go back to the form of, we can all be like that. We can all be like this, and you can be anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I love shadow work, and you've really, like, I have to admit, you've really surprised me. Like this interview, no, you're just amazing, and
Thank you.
it is something that I haven't heard other people talk about for a long time, because I'm a therapist and I relate to what you're saying. I sometimes only hear that from other therapists, but you're saying it from a place of authentic living, and I really do believe you need to write that book, or you need to, your message needs to be portrayed, because there's not enough of that. So, Vic, thank you so much for talking to us. I know that you're busy, and I look forward to maybe working with you in the future, because I love what you do, and I'm definitely going to be watching you on YouTube and all that. So, thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
And for all our listeners, everything about Vic will be linked below. So all the website links will direct you straight to him if you're interested in talking to him or getting some sort of barber work done. Okay, you've been listening to the Secret Men's Business podcast. The podcast is out on Mondays and Thursdays. So hit like and subscribe, and we'll notify you of all our latest episodes. Until next time, see you later, guys. Bye.